So we just had Emma England, who is a female founder champion, and she's building a course all around what we spoke about today. She's a mind-body wellness coach. We did some breathing exercises, which was really fun.
I joined in.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Made me feel really relaxed.
On the second breath. I realised I'd not joined in on the first one. I thought I'd participate on the second one.
You didn't get both breaths in?
No. I enjoyed it. It was a really good conversation.
Me
What
too.
I liked about it and what I think this is a good episode is it's a bit different.
Very different.
It's not so much about the founder's journey and the business. It's more about what the business is.
Yeah.
And how important that is to the listeners, to female founders as a resource, which is great that Emma's doing something which I presume is around wellness and how to cope.
Burnout.
Yeah. I thought it was really good.
I think it's something that all female founders need to learn about.
And male founders.
Yeah. Sorry to discriminate.
Yeah, well,
it is a
female founder, but I just don't want it to.
No, it's relevant.
It's relevant to
everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just relevant to women. It's relevant to men as well.
It is
100%.
It is because everyone experiences burnout in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, like the symptoms and the kind of telltale signs may differ. But what Emma kind of goes into is how to notice those, recognising it, checking in with yourself, and how to kind of snap yourself out of it before you get to the point where burnout actually is really detrimental and can cause issues to your health.
Yeah.
So she talks about tools and mindfulness exercises and finding what works for you. And it's really, really good.
What's interesting when you're listening to it is all the things that are relevant to you start to pop into your head in a way that if you're actually listening to it and not doing something else while you're listening to it, which is, it kind of brings it back around to the whole kind of the relevance of actually paying attention to something. You know, Emma's talking about like while you're eating, you know, I had my breakfast this morning, you know, scrolling through TikTok.
It's bad, isn't it?
It's like it's a really bad habit. And my phone drives me mental. We've just started a new business called Become Content, which is about becoming the content that you want to put out there and being a podcast host and being out there and being on social media and things like that. But one of the key sort of pillars of what we want to do with that business is to also take the other meaning of the word of becoming content and not overloading yourself with that world of social media, of the doom scroll and the conversation that you were having about how you run a business and how it becomes successful without burning out. We've had that conversation about how we want to set this business up and how we want to manage it and what we want the culture to be and how we don't want to burn each other out and how we're not in competition to try and see who works the hardest and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to know that from our point of view, I think we're on the right path, but you do have to be mindful of it, and you have to take that every day. You have to make sure that you're behaving how you hope to behave.
Emma pointed out something really important is that as much as it's obviously your own journey, you do need to lean on other people to support. So where obviously we're, I guess, each other's accountability partners in a lot of respects, not only about what work are you doing or what are you getting done, but also how are you being mindful? How are you looking after yourself? I mean, I was ill the first week of Jan. You very much said, take the rest of the week off. Like, there's no point trying to get yourself back to work and doing things because you don't feel well. I need you back next week and fully able to do the work.
When you're ready, it's probably easier said than done, but it's that word mindfulness which pops up and being deliberate in what you're doing all the time. It has to be a mantra for life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we've had conversations you've had conversations on this podcast with people who are incredibly driven.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they're very competitive and they're competing against other people and they're competing against themselves. And a lot of them are quite young and maybe haven't got to the point where they burn out yet. So although they sound really inspiring at this point, maybe, you know, they have to be mindful going forward that these skills and these attributes that they have that make them who they are and make them successful quite young could potentially be something that they, you know, works against them in the long run if they're not careful. So that's why working with someone like Emma or listening to conversations like that can be really useful.
Yeah. Emma definitely mentions that it's the long game. It's to grow a sustainable long-term business. Mindfulness is the best investment. Welcome, Emma.
you. Thank you for having me.
So nice to have you on.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Let me go to the very, very beginning. Talk to me how you got into the mind-body wellness space.
Okay, so going way back of how I first got into well-being and wellness, which is a long time ago now, scarily. So I came out of being a student and I went into my first sort of professional jobs, and I have to say I wasn't particularly healthy at that point. So I had my typical student days. I went into my first job, which was medical repping.
Oh, cool.
I was on the road a lot, travelling and sort of grabbing sort of food and things on the go and not really looking after myself. And then I think one day I was just sat there thinking, this can't carry on. So I was in my mid-20s by this point, and I thought, I need to start looking after myself. I can't get away with the things I was doing when I was a student. So I then thought, right, I wasn't a typical gym person at the time. And so I thought, what can I do? So I just set myself small goals to look after myself and to get myself fit. And surprisingly, once I started, I found myself hooked.
Love that.
Yeah, and really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed sort of like feeling better in my body. My sleep was better, my mood was better. So I took a little break actually from the corporate world, and I went off travelling for a year.
Cool.
And when I came back, I decided to retrain as a fitness instructor and a personal trainer, which was completely mad considering I wasn't into those sort of things before. And also nutrition, just because it helped me so much. And I realised I didn't have to be that typically sporty person, someone who was like super fit to do that. So that's how I first got into it. And I was helping very much from a body perspective at that point. And then fast forward on a few years, I was working in various sort of corporate jobs and things. Fitness was something else. It became something else to do. So I was very much working full time and then going to the gym and things after work. And I thought, I just kept pushing myself through. I didn't realise at the time anything was wrong, but I did end up suffering with my own journey of burnout. Didn't see the signs and didn't know what the signs were actually.
Of course.
And ended up burning out and ended up then living with chronic illness, which I was really poorly for a really, really long time.
Okay.
So at that point, I had to look at what's going on here. I had to learn from someone who was very, very fast-paced, very productive, very perfectionist person. It was a bit scary. Well, it was a lot scary actually to learn how to slow down, how to stop, how to rest. I didn't know how to do any of those things. I hated being ill. My husband would say, you're, and I was like, no, I'm not ill. Acceptance was a big thing for me then to do that. So yeah, I learned the hard way, but then through all of this, by resting, it led me on to things like mindfulness and meditation, lots of things that just helped my nervous system to settle because it was in very high alert from constantly keeping going. So I learned breath work, mindfulness meditation techniques, and from then I learned to train in those things as well. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really good actually. And everything that helped me, I wanted that to grow as sort of part of my journey. It was actually happened really organically. It's just what I learned. And then as I got myself into a better place, feeling much, much better, I thought I want to help other people with those things as well.
So good.
And realising that I'd gone from a very place of fast to then a real place of slow, but then almost bringing it together into balance. So realising that it doesn't have to be all fast, it doesn't have to be all slow, it can be balanced, and then bringing it forward from there. So that's how I hope to help other people now.
That's so cool.
Because
it really seems like in kind of both circumstances where you've noticed something that's happening within yourself to then retraining at two fairly pinnacle times in your life as well, that you've really kind of embodied your career like in your life, like like you have. How is that something that you've kind of always wanted to do? Like you wanted your work to be your life and vice versa, and have that.
I think after uni, it was always about being on the go and working hard and doing well and being successful. And I don't think well-being was on the cards at the very start. But then after just really realising, like you said, from myself, the benefits of that, it just sent me down a completely different path.
Good.
And now since, I'm in my 40s now, and since being in my 20s, it's very much health and well-being has been part of my life for whatever reason. And it's not always been easy. It's not been easy when I was really, really unwell. And anyone who lives with chronic illness, I completely get it. I really sympathise. It's really hard. There's a lot of grief, a lot of acceptance chance of losing your old life. But there are things that we can do. Often when the medical world, we can't find the answers, or you don't fall into a typical bracket, there are things that we can do. And for me, everything very much comes from regulating the nervous system, whether that is from movement or mind work. It all comes in from when we're coming from a place of safety and feeling regulated and well. We can do lots of things. It's just doing it in a way that, you know, it fits in with our lifestyle, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So just for the listeners.
Yes.
Burnout. It's a massive buzzword. Like, I say, I'm like, I'm so burnt out. Like, everyone kind of uses it as part of their vocabulary, don't they?
They
what
do.
does it actually mean? And what are the signs and symptoms of burnout?
Yeah, you're right. It can be a sort of buzzword, and everyone's saying, "Oh, we're burnt out and we're tired." It's when our body becomes very, very dysregulated. So we move beyond just that typical tiredness and the stress. And what happens is when the body has ran on high stress for a very long time, and often we don't realise, if we're very productive people, successful people, business owners, it's hidden behind productivity a lot of the time. So on the outside, we look like we're thriving, and we may even feel like we're thriving ourselves because we don't know what it's like to stop.
Because we're getting through the to-do list, we're ticking stuff off. Like,
that's it. And we're moving through it. And that feels good, you know, that feels good. The stopping bit is often the bit that's hard. If you're to tell someone very successful, oh, go to the gym and start a new diet, they'll be like, great, I can do that. If you ask somebody to rest and stop, they'll be like,
that's so interesting.
That's so hard. But coming on to the burnout, the sort of signs that you will notice is that sort of tired, wired kind of feeling. So you tired at night, you want to go to sleep, but your body's wired. You can't switch off. Sleep becomes much lighter. So that's one sign that you'll get there. You may become more irritable. So things that don't normally bother you will suddenly become like, you know, that's really annoying me. I'm irritated. It's almost like you don't have time. You don't have time for that normal day to day.
Yeah.
Everything gets affected. So your mood, you might start suffering low mood. Anxiety, you might not have been anxious before, but you suddenly feel in yourself, it's sort of caught in that hamster wheel a bit, that kind of way. What else? Motivation just becomes low. Things that were easy. Decision fatigue. So making a decision becomes really quite challenging. It's something very simple. It might be what we're having for dinner. Suddenly becomes like a big deal. Yeah. You know. It's lots and lots of different things really. But you're falling into that very tired, that sort of anxious, and it's not. But it's a sneaky one, burnout, because it can creep up quite slowly, and we don't always realise. So
I guess for myself as a business owner, I've always kind of noticed that when I stop, I get ill.
Yes.
So like when I'm on holiday, the first couple of days is usually me being in bed feeling really ill.
Yes.
I'm presuming that's also...
It's so typical. It's so typical. And I think that's probably a lot of people just in the modern day world, because we are busy. There is no switch off. I think in a world of technology and phones and things as well, we're 24/7. We're contactable.
Yes.
So at night time, at one point, back in the olden days when I was first working, you'd switch your laptop off and that would be it till the next day. But now we've got our phones, we can check our emails, we're on social media. There's always that, especially if you are someone who wants to be successful. And that's all great to do those things. We want to thrive. It's not saying we stop doing all of those things. Yeah. It's just making it a bit more realistic to fit into our lifestyle where we can take those pauses. But we have to teach our body that it's safe to do that. But yes, most people will get ill on holiday because your body's gone high adrenaline, high stress, high cortisol, you stop, bang.
Yeah. And it doesn't know how to cope.
It doesn't know what to do. Everything just all, goes a bit array really at that point, and people get ill. So a lot of people do get ill on holiday. So,
So I've been doing some research. It's really funny because this is like completely separate. Obviously, I knew you were coming in talking about wellness and burnout and things. So I've been doing a little bit of research just for myself about cortisol levels.
Yes.
I'm presuming they are very intertwined.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. What with how your mind and your body in that
just
sense.
like, so obviously cortisol is a stress hormone.
It is, yep.
And when you have too much of it, there's obviously symptoms that are very similar to burnout, where headache, really bad sleep, your immune system is down, so you're just getting ill all the time, all of that. So do burnout and high cortisol levels?
Yeah,
do they kind of
absolutely. And I think it's important, first of all, that we do need cortisol. So we need cortisol. It gets us up, it gets us going, it gets us moving. It's what wakes us up in the morning. But when we switch into too high cortisol, so what's happening at that point is our nervous system is going into, you've probably heard of fight or flight. So when we're going to fight or flight, so again, way back when, caveman era, we would need that to switch on because there'd be a scary tiger that we're running away from. So we would need to switch on that cortisol into that fight or flight. Our nervous system's high alert and we're ready. But what happens now in modern day life? There isn't the tiger, but what's happening is that we're in high stressful situations and we're switching on that. So we're switching on the cortisol, we're switching on the adrenaline, that's flooding the nervous system and sending our bodies into that high state. So when we're at that point, we want to learn how to reduce that. So it's reducing those stress levels, bringing the nervous system back into balance. And then we're switching on the other side, which is our rest and digest. So that's the parasympathetic nervous system. So we're moving from what's the sympathetic, fight or flight, put it simply, into the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's rest or digest. And that's when everything just settles in the body. We digest our food better, we sleep better, we move better, we don't get as ill on holiday. That's the state that we want to move our bodies into more often. So cortisol, yes, we need it, it's good. We just don't want too much of it. Yeah.
Which I can imagine a lot of, especially women in business, have way too much.
Yes, that's it. And it's not giving ourselves a hard time because we do it. You know, I do it. We'll have those times where we will have those weeks where we are pushing through more than normal, and that's just life. But it's learning when to catch yourself before it becomes
too much.
Before you start to the more you override the system, the more you become at risk of burnout. If you can stop and pause, like for example, me, I'm very busy at the minute. It's January. It's everyone's into their health and well-being, and I have to be careful myself that I don't go too much. And it was last week. I did do too much, but it was at the end of the week, it was having a bit of a word with myself and saying, right, what can we do now? What can we pause? What can we put down? You know, and just to take a bit of a rest and learning to recognise those signs, not be scared of those signs. They're just our body telling us, you know, take it a little bit easier. And then proactively do something. Nothing, but you don't need to go and lie on a yoga mat for an hour. You can just go for a 10-minute walk with the dog.
Okay.
And, you know, you're and switching off and leave your phone at home or put it in your pocket.
Okay.
You know.
So obviously, it'll be very different for lots of different people of how they implement those rest into their life.
Yes.
But what are the most kind of common ways to prevent burnout?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, rather than seeing it as the big thinking about what is the next sort of kindest step that I can do for myself when I notice that my stress is high. And a really, really simple way is just coming back to your breath. So what we can do with that is if our exhale is a little bit longer than our inhale, for example, we can do it together if you like. So if we breathe in for 2, 3, 4, and then we exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do it one more time. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just take a normal breath.
Feel relaxed.
And it just helps you to relax. So what you've done at that point is, don't forget the power of we've paused. We've paused. We've taken a breath. And then after we've taken that breath, it's then thinking, what is the next most kindest, most doable thing I can do for myself right now? Is it closing down those tabs on my laptop and just having a breath? Is it sitting and having a cup of tea and being mindful of that? Is it going for that quick walk with the dog? Is it just standing outside for 2 minutes and just resetting your nervous system slightly? You know, just doing that. So really, it's not overcomplicated. It's not going, oh gosh, I need to do something mad and drastic and overhaul my own life. It's awareness first of all, and then looking at what's the next thing we can do, and coming into your breath is a really good way to start.
That's a really interesting point, that it doesn't have to be too complicated. Because then I think, and especially for someone who's very goal orientated, loves a
Yes.
to-do list,
Yes.
it can very easily fall into being a task, like
Yes.
you've said.
Yes.
So if, I need to do yoga for mindfulness,
Yes.
get down, I'm like, right, I've done it. And it's like
Yeah.
you don't actually feel relaxed afterwards.
You
So
don't feel relaxed after because, like you said, it's become another to do on the tick list, and often we like that if we are typical Type A people, and with those people we're like, oh, we like another to do, but it's not about that, and it's making it realistic. So, like you said before, what looks right for me and you might not be right for somebody else. Your mindful activity might be going. This is my husband's going to a football match and shouting, and at that moment he's present and he's in the moment and he's let go of the stresses and the worries of the week. Mindfulness really is not like we can make it like a big thing, or we can just think it's just bringing ourselves back into the present moment. But often we do need the bit of structure. So it's all right to say this, but what can we do? Maybe every morning before we open the emails, we do something like that simple breath that we just did, and we just spend a couple of minutes doing that, and we've brought our body into calm. Yeah. We might say to ourselves, right, today or 3 times this week, I'm going to make sure I get outside.
Yes. Yeah.
And we do that.
So it's just about building that habit into your normal day-to-day structure.
Yes.
Just so then it's not like you've had the whole week where you're really, really stressed.
Yes.
And then at the end, you're like, right, now I need to do something mindful.
Exactly.
Because that's kind of the same thing as when you go on holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're working. You're probably doing twice as much work the week before you go.
Yeah, you do.
So then you can rest.
To finish off, it is like that. Finishing to go on holiday is, it's one of the hardest times, isn't it? Because you really are pushing yourself to full capacity. Yeah. But and that is going to happen. That's real life. We are going to do that. But can we pause in that week? How can we just be a little bit kinder to ourselves? Yeah. Do something nice for ourselves, because when we are burnt out, we're stressed and we're heading in that direction of burnout, lots of things start to go. So we stop eating well. We start eating on the go. Yes. So then we don't digest our food well. So then we feel uncomfortable. Then we're in pain. Then we don't sleep well. So it's a bit of a cycle, really, of doing that. So it's just being aware. And when at the beginning of the week, when we're planning our goals, how can we plan our capacity for that week?
Yes. Yeah.
What's our energy like that week? Is there anything we can let go of? And it's hard as a business owner to say you want to be a good person, you want to do all the things for all the people, you want to show up, you want to do a good job, you want to represent yourself well. But to do that, it's almost not looking at, like you said, getting to the end of the week and then thinking about well-being. It's how can we make this proactive in a way that's doable and kind for my schedule? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest investment that you can make in your business. Yes. Like, if you're not around, the business isn't. Yeah. So
that's it.
Yeah, being mindful throughout the week and giving yourself that time to not burn out.
Yes.
Is a really good investment.
It absolutely is. And then because once you reach burnout, and then if it becomes a bad case of burnout, you can be flat on your back for a really long time. Yeah. You can be ill. The chronic illnesses can come in. Other things can go wrong. Your digestive system's wrecked. Lots of things by that point, and then you're no good to anybody then, really. It's just there's a really good quote or saying that's just come to mind actually now, but it's like everything's really important until you lose your health, and then it's like, wasn't really, that email really wasn't that important. You know what I mean? Exactly. That one I just had to send, or that, on a Friday night you think, I've been busy in the house, it's a mess, I'm going to run around and clean it. That used to be me. And then I'd be like, I can keep pushing through, it's fine. But then your body, and you'll normally find you will get the warning signs where your body's saying to you, or you're particularly tired, or you get more colds, or certain things will happen. Digestive, your sleep's not good, but you can keep pushing and overriding that.
Yeah, of course.
Or we can pause and we can stop.
Yeah, and then your priorities completely change. Like, if you're really, really suffering from burnout, then you're going to be like, actually, maybe I shouldn't have worked till 10 p.m. that
that's
day.
it. I know, that's it. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And hindsight's obviously a great thing. But if we can I always think at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the month, as well as thinking, what are my goals? What is my energy capacity? What is this? How can I make this proactive, but something I'm going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. So setting some real boundaries with yourself and
absolutely
having to have a real strict word with yourself sometimes,
boundaries is key, and I think we always want to say yes to people. Like, boundaries has been one of my biggest lessons personally. Like, I am a big people pleaser, recovering hopefully, and want to say yes and do things for everybody, but we've only got so much to give, and it can sound a bit of a cliche, but it's very true. We've got to fill ourselves up first before we can give to other people.
Or put your own mask on first before you help others.
Absolutely, it's about doing that.
I love that, recovering people pleaser.
Recovering people pleaser, recovering perfectionist, recovering all of those things, which do creep in. So that's why I get it, and it's why in my work it's about making it realistic and sustainable, because I've been there and I know what it's like, and it will still creep up. Yeah.
If you're a female founder like me, spinning a lot of plates right now, let me make at least one of those tasks easier. I want to tell you about Xero, an accounting software designed for small businesses. I use it to keep my invoices, expenses, cash flow and reports all in one place, so I'm not guessing my numbers or losing hours to spreadsheets. The Female Founder is part of the Xero affiliate program, where you get 90% off your first 6 months. That means that you can build strong financial habits, and we can keep this podcast a free resource where you get to learn from other female founders. So click the link in the show notes to get started with Xero and claim your exclusive 90% off your first 6 months.
Are there any tools that you can share with our listeners to catch yourself when you are kind of falling down the path? Kind of you've tried to be proactive, it might not have worked out, you might not be very good at kind of holding yourself to those boundaries that you've put in place, but before you get to the point of real burnout, is there tools that you can do to catch yourself out of it?
I definitely there is. First of all, I've mentioned pausing. Pausing is huge. Remember power of the pause. If you don't remember anything else, it's just like literally before you move into something, just taking that pause, taking a breath, and to do that. Being more mindful in sort of everyday activities as well. So sort of be mindful as you're eating. Take that moment to not be scrolling through your emails at the same time. That's just a way of catching it. You just notice as well. So noticing what you're doing and thinking, am I on? Because it's just so easy to fall into that habit where you're doing two things at once.
I'm the worst for it. I'm eating, I'm scrolling, and I've also got the TV on. It's like, how can I do much more?
Thinking about when to fit the dog walking. You know, it's like literally all these things that we're doing. But just bring yourself back into that present moment. Breath work is really good. And by breath work, a lot of people get scared by breath work because they think I've got to do all these things. I've got to hold my breath. Something simple like we did before. But try a few techniques, just have a go, and it's amazing just sitting for a couple of minutes on the sofa, or you know, you don't have to go and lie on your mat or whatever, just doing that. Walking, be mindful as you're walking, placing each, one foot on the ground and just being in that just moment.
Being really present and not thinking too far ahead.
Being really present. And if you're a writing down person, so getting everything out of your head and onto paper, writing it down. But I would spend a week of just, if you're feeling at that point where you're starting to feel like, I'm starting to burn out, I'm not feeling good, just start noting and grab a pen and paper and start to write it down and just be conscious of how you're moving through your week. And where things you might be able to let go, and your body and your mind will really thank you for doing it.
Even I guess like creating a log on your calendar, like when you're noticing yourself burning out, maybe it's, I don't know, Wednesday because it's midweek. Maybe Wednesday is your slower day because you need a bit of a reset midweek. I think it is just about learning yourself and how you deal with it and your best coping techniques and things.
And absolutely. And then if you do need support, then you go and speak to somebody or you ask for help, even if it's a friend, a supportive friend, someone, not someone that's going to judge you, but somebody that you can share and offload that with. And as women, we want to do everything ourselves. That's the other thing. We think, if I do it, it's quicker.
Yeah.
It's quicker than asking someone else to do it.
How many times have I said that to myself? It's crazy.
Or if I ask someone else to do it, it's not going to be done perfectly. It's not going to be done well. So where can we share? Where can we be kind, especially when things are feeling heavy and busy? Can we asking for help is really hard. I'm not going to lie. It's one of the hardest things I find to do, but it is key.
Yeah.
We need to ask for help. We need to ask people that we work with, our friends, our families, and to do those things. Yeah. And then I would say another thing we can do is sort of nervous system, I call them nervous system anchors. So things just like right now, just feeling your feet on the floor, yourself sitting in the chair, taking your shoulders away from the ears. They creep up as we go through the day. Yeah. Just doing that, releasing through the jaw, which becomes tight, all our tight areas. Just, I think that's why, it is why I work with the mind and body, because they're both so connected. Yeah. If our stress is lower, we digest food better. It's all these things. If we move well in a way that's kind and it suits our bodies, we signal back to our mind that it's safe. So it's looking at everything holistically, really. It's not just one thing. It's all our body and mind is interconnected. You might notice as one thing goes, so like your nutrition might fall off the wagon and then your sleep goes. Or you might find pain in one part of your body and you think, oh, that's because I've been particularly stressed this week or I've not slept. So just simply remembering that everything is connected.
Yeah. It's so funny because I feel, especially when women go to the doctors and they're saying they've got this and this and this wrong with them. Yeah. And the doctors immediately go, stress. And you think that it's like, oh, they've just like fobbed me off again and blah, blah, blah. But realistically, it probably is the answer to a lot of things.
It is the answer to a lot of things. And I think a lot of the frustration is when you go to the doctors, often you don't feel heard. And I think it can be easy to be that. And I think sometimes if we were just given tools or things we could go away and do or feel listened to, then it would reduce that stress within itself to say, yes, this is normal. Yeah. How you're feeling, it's okay to feel like that. Here are some things that you can do.
Really, isn't it?
It is. It's just looking at that, because I think so often we think nobody else is feeling like that. Everyone else is successful. We can fall very much into that comparison trap, which we all do. I do. You know, you look at everybody else and think, oh, they're doing amazing. Well, how are they doing all these? How are they posting 7 days a week? And I'm not. You know, and it's just being a little bit kind to yourself and remember that sometimes you might be someone on your own doing all of this work. Some people have a team behind them.
Exactly.
You know,
never know, do you?
We don't always know. And things, sometimes you might have a bad week, but next week might be a really good week. So it's just remembering those things and just being aware of our emotions as well, because we can feel one way one day and then the next day you can feel like a completely different person. So just, you know, being as women, we have it hard, don't we? You know, and it's that, and also hormonal stuff as well. So that can all link in with everything and how we're feeling. So just bringing awareness to that and a little bit of kindness to that as well too. So
just knowing where you are in the month as well. You know,
absolutely.
They say, I mean, I don't really work out too much. So they say to do specific workouts during your luteal phase in comparison to when you're actually in your period and things like that.
That's it. And it's just moving with your body and moving with your cycles and doing. And really, we don't always need to know. It's just tuning in a little bit.
And listening to what your body's actually telling you.
That's it.
It does have signs.
Yeah,
a headache for 4 days is probably not normal. It's probably screaming at you like, help me,
do something. You know. So and it is that, and it's listening to your body, but it's not only listening to your body, it's acknowledging what it tells you. Yeah. It's very easy to listen and go, oh, right, I'm sore and whatever, but I'll just push through anyway. Yeah. The hard bit is going, right, that feels, you know, not great today. Let's acknowledge that and let's do something proactive about it. Yeah. And I think that's it with but January is a particularly bad time because everybody wants to go full pelt. Everyone has, using the buzzword of burnout here, but has burnt out by the end of January because they've all gone to the gym. I mean, you know, I used to work in David Lloyd as well many years ago, and the gym was full in January. February, nobody was there.
Wow. So quick to drop off those goals, isn't it?
So quick to drop off those goals. And for me, it's very much about making things consistent. And, it needs to be sustainable to be consistent. Otherwise, we're not going to stick to it. And the other thing, just on that point, is do something that you enjoy. You want to bring more well-being into, if you're thinking, oh, that breath work, that's not for me, that's okay. You don't have to like breath work. You can go and find something else that you like. It's like a lot of people, hate running, but they take up jogging. I'm like, why? Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You might love running and that might be your thing. Some people are very active, naturally active people, and they love that. They love the gym and absolutely do all that. I'm not just saying sit in a corner and breathe. We're doing the things that feel good for us and our bodies. Yeah. It's just being aware of it as when we're going into that pushing and productivity part to actually doing something that's enhancing us and helping us to feel well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess it's a bit of trial and error as well, isn't it? To kind of figure out what is right for you.
Figure it out.
Just try things, and if it doesn't work out, fine.
Yeah, and there's some great like free apps and things out there as well. So there's like Insight Timer. If you've never done meditation or mindfulness or breath work before, go on there and you'll find some really nice things you can try and just give it a go. I do meditate every day, but that's not to say I'm good at it every day. Some days my brain is here, but the point of it is that you've taken that time to stop, to come down and tune in. And even if your brain's busy and chattering, that's just what our minds do. Our minds, we're humans, our minds wander, and it's a bit like training a muscle. So every time your mind wanders, you acknowledge it and then you bring it back. And then it'll go off again thinking, right, what's for dinner? What time am I picking up from school or something like that? And then we bring it back. And it's a bit like you go to the gym and you train your muscles. We're training our mind. It's our mindfulness muscles. So,
Wow. Wow. So I guess we kind of move straight into burnout and things. Not really spoken a lot about you and your journey of being a female founder.
Yes.
What has that been like? Because you've obviously been corporate for quite a lot of your career. And now a female founder. What's that journey? What's that transition been like?
Yeah, it is completely different. It really is different because you are all of the things. You've got to be, you're the face in front of the business. You are doing the marketing. You're doing the finance. Not my favourite bit, but we've got to do it. It's just like the bit that gets pushed to the end of the month. So it is very different because you are juggling a lot of things. And I think that's the last year, especially for me, is where you realise how you can bring well-being in practically from that. So, you live in it and breathe in it. It has to work. It has to fit in. But it's very different. There's lots of positives. You can manage your own time. You can manage your own diary. I can go and see my little boy's school play without being on some conference in London or whatever. It's very different from that perspective. But there is a lot. Yes. It's a good lot, but there is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you, I guess, found it hard to implement that wellness that you're kind of, is that practice what you preach?
Practice
what you preach.
Yeah, and I do have to bring myself back. It's true, because especially when I'm helping everybody else with their wellness and well-being and all that side of things, plus the busy practical side, the admin side of the business as well. I do have to practice what I preach, and for me it's making it small and manageable. I don't have time to go, I could make time, but I don't choose to have that time to go and spend an hour doing X, Y and Z. I do have time to walk my dog. I do have time to spend 10 to 15 minutes at lunchtime doing some, or it can switch depending on the day, a mindfulness meditation exercise. I do have time to breathe. I do have time to sit in the car and calm my nervous system before I walk into a meeting. So I do eat well. I mean, for me, nutrition is key to lots and lots of things. Again, there's a lot of noise and it's overcomplicating it. But if we can just think of having whole foods where possible, I am conscious of doing that. Probably 80% of the time. That's not to say that on a Friday night I don't, let things go and, have a pizza and a glass of wine. I'm normal, and human. But it's the same a lot of the time. It's just being conscious a lot of the time. And so often we're not conscious about everything. So we'll be eating something and not realising, or we'll be busy doing things and not realising. So for me, it's just about being conscious and catching myself. So catching myself on those busy weeks and thinking, right, Emma, you did push it that week. how's next week going to look a little bit different?
Yeah, just regular check-ins with yourself.
What can you let go of? Or checking in. Check-in is a big one. And not checking in thinking, I've checked in, I've ticked that box, or I've checked in and what should be the right answer. Have you really checked in? Have you really checked in and been honest with yourself? With you know, because often you can go, yeah, I'm all right, really. I'm fine. I should be all right. Yeah, should. But actually, are you? And it's just checking in and listening, and then picking something like kind and small that you can do for yourself.
Yeah,
Not
manageable
big.
things
Manageable.
that is actually realistic.
That's realistic.
There's no point kind of putting on your goal list or your to-do list saying that you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week if you're jam-packed full of work, because it's not realistic.
No.
But at least maybe once or
And start small as well, because, you know, if you say that you're going to go 3 times a week and then you don't, you've set yourself up for failure.
Exactly, and then you feel really rubbish. And
you do. Yeah. And you feel like, you know, that's it. So, but you might have time to do something. And that's not to say go and try something new. Go and try, you know, something like this morning I've taught a core class, and as someone there said, Emma, this morning I didn't want to come. I was sat in my pyjamas reading a book, and the last thing I felt like doing was come in. I thought, I don't blame you. But at the end of the class she said, I feel so much better for coming and doing something positive. And I thought, you can be a little bit smug as well now that you've done something early on, and you can go into the rest of your day and know that you've done that. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned time, so you say, I didn't have time to do this, I didn't have time to do this, and you're probably like, well, I should have made time.
Yes.
And I've said this to my partner this week, actually. If you don't have enough time to do something, then you're probably doing too much. And that's probably true for wellness. If you don't have enough time to give back to yourself and prioritise wellness, you're doing way too much.
Yeah, you're doing way too much. And self-care is the first thing to go.
Yeah.
And that's how another sign of recognising when you're in that burnout thing as well, is that you start not eating well. Yeah. You start not doing the nice things for yourself. You stop spending that time with your family, your partner, whatever, because you're too busy.
Exactly. It's just not worth it at that point.
It's not worth it. And I really believe that we can be successful in our business while feeling well at the same time. Otherwise, it's not worth it, is it? So part of the success, part of the business, can we build the well-being into that? How is it integrated into that? That is part of our success story.
Absolutely.
Of thriving. And it's not just looking like we're thriving on the outside, it's actually thriving on the inside, and remembering to enjoy things, you know, find that joy. Yeah. Remember that purpose, without sounding too preachy. It is just making space and time to do the things we like, because that's why we're doing it, isn't it? You know, as well as helping people and getting our work out there and doing a good job with that, we want to feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your business needs to give back to you as much as you give back to it.
And it does. And it does. And we all need to have a word with ourselves at times. Gosh, yeah.
I don't want to jump on the Stephen Bartlett hate train, but I watched a podcast of his, and I, for the life of me, can't remember who the guest was. But she was talking about, you can't have a successful business if you're not working all hours of the day. And it's just such like, people go into business thinking that they're going to have more time, and it's not true. You need to like be serious with yourself, and it's just not. That's just not the case. Obviously, success looks different for everybody. I guess if you want to be raking in billions of pounds and things, you know, maybe you probably do need to work more than 9 to 5. But that's not for everyone.
No, and I don't think it's sustainable either, you know, to do that, you know, consistently over time to do that. And no, it's the opposite of how I would say to approach it. And that's not to say we're not busy, we're not productive, we're not successful. It's not to say by doing a bit of wellness you're taking away your productivity. It's enhancing it if we do it properly. And I think that's what it's remembering, is that we want to achieve, we want to do well. We're not, you know, taking away from the fact that we want to be successful female business owners and do really well. We're just saying, let's just not burn ourselves out in the process.
Let's have a long, sustainable business, one that doesn't have to close in 3 years because you just can't cope.
Because you've not done that.
The Female Founder membership is officially live, and I want to tell you all about it. As part of the membership, you will gain access to a variety of different courses covering business fundamentals and soft skills for women in business, along with workbooks and templates to implement all of your learning. You will also be a part of the Female Founder Community WhatsApp group, where you will find the space for the board. It's basically the board of directors that you don't have as a solo female founder, so you can go there to ask for different advice, support, and to celebrate your wins. Members also get access to exclusive offers on softwares and services for your business, along with various live events throughout the year and monthly webinars. I'm also offering the first 20 people to sign up 20% off their membership for life. Head to thefemalefounder.co.uk or click the link in the show notes to sign up for your membership. The Female Founder empowers women and elevates startups.
So to finish off, I asked the same question to everyone who's sat here.
Yeah.
I know obviously you've given loads of tips and advice throughout, but if you can kind of encompass everything that you know about wellness and also know about business.
Yes.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to another female founder who's literally just about to start a new business?
So start, I would say, with sustainable steps. So have a think, look at the big picture, see where you're going to be. Think about your business goals and how you want to be successful, but also think about your capacity.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at wellness, don't overcomplicate it. So I'd look at, let's look at 3 pillars. So we look at we nourish our bodies. We look at eating well. And by that, I just mean whole foods, less processed.
Yeah.
Most of the time. We all give ourselves a break sometimes. Movement. How can we move mindfully and well? And it's not by hitting the gym every day. It might be walking, stretching, doing something good for yourself. And then restore. How can we restore our bodies? And I think for me, this underpins everything. So how can we bring our nervous system back into balance? How can we reduce stress? What does that look like for me? Is that reading a few chapters of a book? Is it doing a breathwork exercise? Is it being outside in nature? You know, what does that look like for me? Is it spending time with my family and having a really good laugh? You know, is it that?
Yeah.
What does that look like for me? And then that underpins everything else. So for me, it's keeping it simple and sustainable while still being successful.
Love that, the 3 answers.
Oh, yeah. Just came up with that. Yeah, that's good.
I love that. And then if anyone wants to work with you, how do you find you? How do you get in touch?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Emma J. England on there. And I'm also on Instagram as A Mindful Path. So it's a.mindful.path. Then you can find me on there.
Amazing.
And connect with me. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'll put all your information in the show notes anyway, so people can directly click the link and go to your pages.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank
that was so
you.
good. I'm now going to do that breath work every time.
Yes. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. That was so good.